Hi, my name is Akiko Trush and I'm a pianist recovered from vocal dystonia. 13 years ago, I was practicing Shostakovich's First Concerto. And if you know that concerto, it's great. It's full of running passages and big fast octaves and big leaps and all that good stuff. So looking back, I think I was preparing for performances in such a hurried state where I felt like I needed to nail every single one of those things perfectly. So I was, practicing really hard. And as I was practicing those octaves one day, I noticed that I didn't have the usual sensation in my right hand thumb. I was losing grip and I was losing mobility of my right hand thumb. And before I knew, I couldn't play the passages evenly, or I could, grab the big chords any longer. It felt really weak. And then I couldn't open up my hands, and then this happened very fast over a course of a week or so. I just couldn't do anything with my right hand any longer. My thumb was curled in to my palm, and anything I tried to do on the keyboard was really bad. It was like super tense, like this. And so I couldn't open up my hand, and eventually it spread onto other activities such as like writing, holding a pencil, holding a pen, trying to put contact lenses on, trying to wave goodbye. That was very big because I couldn't do this. At the moment I tried to wave, my thumb was so tense. It went like this. I couldn't hit space button with my right hand thumb like I did before, or shake other person's hand. It was like always like this, and it was kind of embarrassing. They thought it was a secret handshake of some sort. Anyway, fast forward 13 years later today, I consider myself recovered. I don't have those symptoms any longer. I could play the piano fine, and I could do any of the activities that I didn't used to be able to. So the question I get often is, what did I do between today and 13 years before? So basically I self-trained myself, and I feel like this is something that everybody could do and could look into. And it's not as difficult as it sounds. It just takes a lot of patience. What did I do is kind of difficult to explain, but I'll try. First off, I've noticed that I didn't have the vocal dystonia symptoms 24/7. It only got turned on. My dystonic reaction was only turned on as a response to a certain stimulus. So if I didn't have that certain stimulus, I didn't have the dystonic reaction. So yes, reaction is what it is. It's a reaction to a stimulus. I didn't have, what I mean, but I didn't have the symptoms 24/7 is I didn't have the symptoms when I was, like, for example, walking or, chatting with my friends or, sleeping. And it only got turned on when I tried to carry on specific things. Quickly, I noticed too that the dystonic reaction was pretty much binary. It's either it was on or it was off. And if you have vocal dystonia, I think you know what I mean, but there are some in-between phases that you feel like you don't have the symptoms fully on, but it's lurking and it's about to turn on. But it's mostly on or off. So I tried to find out when exactly, to what kind of stimulus my body was responding with a dystonic reaction. Okay, so for example, initially I had a very big difficulty shampooing my hair because the moment I try to reach out for my scalp with the shampoo, my thumb will just curl in like this. And then I try to wash my scalp and my hair with my 4 other fingers, but they were really tense as well, and it was very frustrating. So one day I was trying to see what exactly was turning on my reaction. And so when I try to do the usual and habitual way of reaching out for my head, it was turning it on. So I try to do it differently. I noticed too that the usual and habitual way of doing things is contaminated with focal dystonia. So I had to birth a new pathway or new set of doing things that was not contaminated with focal dystonia. So going back to me shampooing my hair, instead of me trying to swing my arm to my head and start, scratching it with my fingertips, which would, turn on my reaction, I decided to see if I could do this, like just, like as an extension of a movement of walking, which I didn't have any dystonic reaction. I tried to see if this didn't have any reaction, and it worked. I could, hold my hand up to this point without any reaction. And then if I do this, and this, it was turning it on because this is what I usually do when I shampoo my hair. I try to fit my head into my hand and did this, which was okay as long as I didn't apply so much pressure between my head and my fingertips, right? And so I could do this in the course of a few days. I try to see if I could just move my shoulders and not have any reaction, and see if I could move my elbow to and not have reaction, and start moving my wrist and little, other parts of the joints, and see if I didn't have any reaction. And it worked as long as I didn't put too much pressure, or, I didn't, press it in certain angle, certain angle, or certain sides of my hands. For example, like I was okay doing this, but I was not okay doing this. So I try to explore which part and which angle of my hand was okay and which was not. And I could do that. I discovered that with very light pressure, I could, do things as long as it was not part of the usual habitual way of me shampooing. So it took me a few days to be able to shampoo my hair without so much dystonic reaction. So, if I try to do this, of course it was turning on. So I try to make it as, as simple and light and slow as I needed to in order to do that without the tension. If that meant not moving my fingertips initially, I try to stick with doing that, for a while, very, very lightly. And then once my body gained confidence doing that, I try to apply the same technique into piano playing. And this was a little bit harder because the moment or even the thought of me playing the piano was triggering the reaction. And so I needed to rethink about my relationship with this instrument, because I felt like it was as though my body was trying to run away or tense away from the piano, almost like as though you have a fight or flight reaction focally in parts of your hands. And so I try to reaffirm as I was trying to make this initial contact with moving body parts and hands, and see if I could do that with ease. And this was very, very difficult to do initially. So I had to, affirm and tell my body that, it's okay. This piano is not about to pose danger to me. It's my friend. Or, this is something that I love, and I had to fully accept a relationship with probably piano playing. As I was doing it, too, it became much easier. And then I, try to see which angle and what kind of pressure and what kind of movements and what kind of muscle placements inside my body will trigger the reaction. So so I did that one little incremental step at a time. And once, I noticed that it does change, like the symptoms and situation change, and it changes for the better when you start working at it. That was the game changer, just to see that things do change. And so, one thing led to another, and I worked on trying to see exactly what was triggering my dystonic reaction with every single step of the recovery, until pretty much I exhausted all variation that was triggering the dystonic reaction. So long story short, this is what happened, but my message here is retraining is completely possible, and I feel like, yes, you can do it by yourself if you set your mind to it, and if you completely believe in it. Your body is completely capable of doing it. And so what I would like to see more happen is for those who have recovered from focal dystonia to speak louder, because that's what we need to elevate the recovery rate of folks, musicians with focal dystonia overall. So thank you for watching, and please leave a comment if you'd like to. Thanks.